Hello everyone, my name's FlareBlitzed and welcome to Tiny Bunny, a horror visual novel set in Russia, the wintry Russia that is. And also when you load up the game it says Rebuild Bunny, so I'm not sure if it has something to do with the game as well. But let us load into this Tiny Bunny game and see what we have going on. And you're not a nice looking bunny, as in like you're not that friendly. It is wintry. Oh, it's a frozen lake. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. And then the song waved through all sorts of voices. Shrill, gentle, sneery, twinned in the air. Twined, sorry? They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. What do these do? Ah, this is where we do the save. The wonderful save. Good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we've got 40 save slots, so I think we're plenty good when it comes to accessing multiple routes, if there are multiple routes in this game. There's one episode out at the moment, and well, one chapter I mean, and the others will be released when they're ready. Someone was running through the snow while casting non-shadows that occasionally creep close to my bed. I've already read that. Our house had a mind of its own. The creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed black with its hollow eyes, rustling, wheezing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves. There was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Times 2 and plus 2 for myself, for goodness sakes. Still. Ooh, a set of eyes. And a nose as well, with a little mouth. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health, and you could put crumbs on the book as well. Look at how slouched you are. Wow. So we've got an option of hide. Hide. Any other functions? I don't think so. Yeah, hide is the only word on the screen, but I just want to see if there's any little secret interactions going on, aside the 5 buttons at the bottom. No, we've only got hide. We only have hide here. Okay. Hide the book. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Oya has already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from the commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finished all of it, like a good boy. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. If I choose to skip words, it's not because I don't want to read it, it's just because I don't know how to pronounce them. Or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Dun dun dun. Mum showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. Everything is grayscaled. What did I just say? I'll get it. I have 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? It looks like a riddle of sorts. It looks like a cheeky riddle of sorts, which might be worth getting a little sticky note so that I can write down what this is, just so that I won't need to refer to it in the future because we've already got it on hand. So we get KAP, then NHA or AHN. I'm going to put NHA or AHN. Huh? That's my mum's name. I guess she... Did I put... Okay, cool. I was just checking at something. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar though. It doesn't really work if you're the child and they're the adult. Should I mind? No, don't. No, she's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under the table. I wonder, was Mum afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the little tiny bunny coming along? Or the thick forest? Thick with a K. I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed while Oya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Tiger is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-coloured materials on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all the photos were gone. I don't know why I thought that said potatoes. Glass-covered pictures with grey faces of my ancestors. Everything in this game is grey, but that doesn't matter, because that builds the atmosphere. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Oya was done with her cookies, and was looking at my share like a sly woodland cricketer. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but it didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. It sure did. Oyo, look, it's a fox. So our name is Anton. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit... Yeah. Can you see where my mouse is? Look, there's its right eye, there's its left eye, there's nose, and there's mouth. Yeah, you gotta know which eye is which. And look under a certain angle. And also there's its ears too. How cute. Not outside. on the window. Look, here's the nose, and here's... Hey, eat up! Yes, yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is. But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you, it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Oh, classical sibling. Classical sibling disagreement. Oh dear. Stop it. These kids, I swear. But he started it. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. What a majestic beard, just like my own. Mum would always ask, jokingly, "Come on, shove it off, it stings." Shave it off, sorry. I don't know why I said shove it off. This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Oyo always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point of all this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply. "For the sake of our family." I always caught every sound of fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. Death? Destruction? Dingleberries? Okay, that word. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Always. So anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Have anyone seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did and maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of two. Sorry, I did the wrong voice. And still. Karina, please stop. Ah, so that letter was an R rather than a... Okay, let me just update that then, because I thought that said... I thought that was a P rather than a R. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basement near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl? There was no owl. But there was one. I have proof. I have photographic memories to prove that there was an owl at my window. It had giant glowing eyes. Oyo sprang up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face. I wouldn't do that if I were you, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. Wash your hands first before either putting your hands on your face or grabbing the apple. Last year you had bye-bye. Okay, I'm just going to write down all these important words for goodness sakes. Bye-bye or babi. And now this owl. But I saw it. Oya shifted her gaze back and forth from dad to me, from dad to mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice. Wow. Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Oya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. Wow. Already pouting, huh? The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mum gave Dad a strict look. Like you have done something so bad. I love her expressions and the animations. Oh, the look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left. Reading with the keys he just found. Wow, you got to the basement that quickly then? A minute had passed, unless I missed something out, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. I hope that's not copyrighted. It was stored on incredibly worn out cassette tape, which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. Some objects can't. But how do you fix a relationship? It takes a emotional kind of glue to do that. A glue in which cannot be purchased, but experienced. Mum moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Ooh. Oya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Oh, it is wimpy, or an engine that would support to be H of hide. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket, I mean. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Whoa, would you look at that? And then Oya said she saw that giant flying monster outside her window. Oh, dearie me. Oh, dinky dory me, that is a big old owl. But when does the rabbit come into play, or a bunny? She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Oya refused to sleep alone, and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. If you have this sort of thing when you're very young, and you don't seek therapy in your childhood or your teenage ages, then you're going to have a very, very rough time when you grow up, because it's much harder to get out of a cyclical nature when you've grown up, especially one which has a psychological nightmare sort of terror behind it, like this sort of thing. Can nightmares be infectious? Yes, they can be. A very localized infection. Unlike something else that's going on at the moment which is not localized at all. Just last night I couldn't get a wink of sleep, and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, silhouettes, cut out using a template. Circular holes gapped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creature were looking at me from behind the flat, black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy snares, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? This is a really nice atmosphere to it. It's like, it's not jump scary, which a lot of horror games have to try and build a scary environment, but this is just constantly ominous. I like it. Also, the sound as well contributes towards it. The visuals and the sound go a very, very long way. Won't they gain up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their blooded shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. Hey, we've got to stick together in these tough times, you know. I just wished for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I don't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider of some sort of a monster. Or some sort of a monster, I do apologise. I never viewed that way. But then again, this game I think was set during the 90s or the 80s or so. So that kind of behaviour might have been a little more either under the radar or not noticed as something that is bad. Like bullying nowadays, no good. But then again, with this isolation thing, you won't really get a chance of bullying face to face. Cyberbullying, yes, but not face to face bullying. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. The only difference is that all the internet can then see your bullyings. I couldn't consider myself a great artist. Every great artist started out from a stickman drawing. I'm sure every artist can relate. But Oya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mum picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number," or "Anton is not around. Anton is not around." I imagined my future classmates lying in their beds, just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates would like me after all. We all have something in common. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? Hey, I was a boy with thick glasses. Now I'm a man with thick glasses and a thick beard and a nice personality. That's what I like to think anyways. I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet. My mum. Ah, what a nice son you are. The house creaked, pressed by the window. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbour's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. What is the worst of the two worlds, being crowded in a big city, or being completely isolated from society in the middle of nowhere? One or the other. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs, and under the stairs. I like to live in the middle of nowhere that's actually quite close to a city. Just like I am now. But they all woke up during the night. Actually, the village I am in is not in the middle of nowhere. It's semi-urban. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family, with their ashen, or was it a diseased family, oh dear, with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaky, rusty drains were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. "Can somebody stop playing the piano? Don't you see it's 2 o'clock in the morning? I have school the next day and all you're doing is thinking about your own musical concerts? How dare you?" Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. "When I win this contest, I'll be able to have enough money to put up soundproof so that I'm able to practice so that you don't have to listen to me play the piano or the flute at night. It's just the only time I can practice." It was mixed in with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst a cold, snowy night, right? It can't be my family. No one else in this family is talented enough to pick up a musical instrument and play it. In the game, at least. Ooh, hello, choices. So this kind of acts as like multiple choices. Rather than something on the screen, it's actually in a certain location. Not that one. Open the curtain? Open the curtain. Ooh. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with the dark forest as their backdrop. I really love what the developers have done with the game, aesthetically, with the sounds, and with the amount of dialogue in play, and the amount of rich dialogue too. I'm thoroughly impressed. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Like, look at the amount of layers of snow that's going on, from the big snow that's in front of you to the little snow drops that are in the back, sorry. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and wiping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped, and so has the black silhouettes. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnivore and sprinted across the field with great leaps. Oh, it glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside of a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guests move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The voice I'm doing right now is not depicting the voice that this boy would be right now in his thoughts. First of all, there would be a higher pitched voice and it wouldn't be sounding so calm like I am right now. The sound moved to the right. I believe I did read that part. Then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with the blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral. My grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll, a Matryoshka doll as well. Ants. I was trying to combine ants and running. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her hair and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs, ordered by the tiny bunny. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spells she taught me throughout the whole procedure, and now lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Bayan, underneath a blemished sun, in the sea of colour blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn of devil from Devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes and ashes, dust to dust, void to void, nothingness to nothingness. Bizarre sounds have disappeared. It's all in your mind because these words give you comfort, but do they really give you comfort in the long run? Or is it just a temporary fix that will once again come back in the next night? I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. Oh dear, it's coffee, isn't it? Boiling. For some people that might be terror. For me, that's delight. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he was looking for someone, or something. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then... Ooh, the door handles, the doorknob twitched slightly. Oh dearie me. Ooh. Then it turned halfway. Once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you see. The door was wide open. Whoa, I see a little eye there in the darkness. See where my mouse is? It's just to the left there. The darkness reefed inside the carnivorous mouth of the doorway. Tony. Who's Tony? It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out from the gaping black hole. Tony. Who's Tony? My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But guess what? The abomination took your voice. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, you asleep? Oh! What? You better get away from there, Olya. Olya? O-L-Y-A. Gosh, new perspective. My sister's pale face protrude from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Olya? I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's Bear again. staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. Why are we called Tony? Unless we're not from the perspective of a dad, are we? Like, I thought our name was Anton. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a moment ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needs to calm Oya down. Oh, we are playing as Anton. Maybe he has a different name then. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Not physically, anyways. Oya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video. Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled. Get it? Because there's also a Disney movie called Tangled. And this is Pixar. Oh, every goddamn kids animation is owned by Disney nowadays. What was that? They completely monopolized the kids animation board, Disney. What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the noon. The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, yes, just a moment. I'm not gonna lie, that took me by surprise. As I got... Ooh. Oh my. That was definitely good. That's the kind of jump scare I like. One that really builds up. Not one that just comes instantaneously. They're cheap. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Oya and an hour in the morning. Somebody there? Who could be visiting us here, in the middle of nowhere? Maybe the postman. We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet. Under the table. Behind the curtains where Oya always hides. Tony, come here! I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them toward the hallway. Oh my. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mum always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars. Worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman handed out a photograph to me. What the? There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. I don't know what you are referring to, unfortunately, my friend, but I am sure that I could help if I had the ability to do so. I remember one of the achievements were like getting one of the police officers' phones or something like that. Phone numbers? Not their phones, but their phone numbers. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window? That's right, your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I I see. He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is alright, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his grey eyes. My head started spinning. Well, who wouldn't be intimidated by a member of the enforcement? Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Hey, that's what we're doing right now, for goodness sakes. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wants to help other people just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home. Steer away from trouble. But times have changed so much, they sure have, man. Mum interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet, I'll be going to school for the first time after break. Ah, then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me, if you have any new info. The policemen were gone along with their shadows. The smell of cheap cologne and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wonder what it was like for him, being all alone there. For some reason, I thought the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Well, we'll answer this question in the next time, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm hoping you're enjoying this as well. This is definitely a very, very good horror visual novel. It really builds up the suspense in this game, and the black and white screen actually really helps with that horror as well, because it takes away some comfortness when it comes to the colors of the screen itself, because usually you would have some soft colors and hard colors, but this is all eerie, classical. I love it. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you all in the next time of Tiny Bunny, also called Rebuild Bunny. Have a good day and take care of yourselves.